Kia ora, good evening. I'm Hannah Wilkins. Dunedin's contentious George Street redevelopment turned up the heat this week as Dunedin City councillors had it back on their agenda at a committee meeting. Tensions were high as councillors were asked to vote on a report on the project's future flexibility, which proved divisive.
The new George Street one-way block is calm enough to relax in, but discussions around its future are anything but. Arguments were rife between Dunedin City councillors today as they met as part of the wider Infrastructure Services Committee, with two senior members struggling to see eye to eye.
Yes.
Well, then I'm overruling it because I don't see the irrelevance in what he was saying. He has a right to express opinion, and I really want to draw your attention. I want to draw your attention to the next point, the next standing order 25.3. Expressing a difference of opinion or contradicting a statement by a previous speaker does not contradict a point of order.
Chairman Jim O'Malley overruled Mayor Jules Raddick's point of order more than once as the discussion around George Street's potential future hit fever pitch. The committee was divided into members who argued future-proofing the project by adding flexibility was better late than never, while others wanted the revamp to continue as previously decided. Mayor Raddick says he wants the council to ensure other options are available in the future.
It's not calling for a change right now from one-way to two-way. What the report is calling for is a relatively small investigation into the options for flexibility.
Construction is already underway on the 3 George Street blocks, with staff advising revisiting the design could cause construction delays and millions of dollars. The committee accepted the report from staff, seemingly ending the George Street debate.
The chances of stopping it to go back and do the consultation process that we've done before, because you weren't there when the consultation process was done, in my opinion, is false economy.
But the debate wasn't over. Mayor Raddick submitting a notice of motion for staff to provide more information on potential options for the project. That motion was voted down 9 votes to 8, potentially putting an end to the George Street redesign discussion for now. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Southlanders of all ages have been hitting the streets as the Burt Munro Challenge revved into action. The Invercargill Street Races wrapped up the 5-day event last Sunday, ensuring it finished on a high after crashes earlier in the week caused concern for organisers.
Riders boosting their way through the streets of Invercargill to close out the Burt Munro Challenge. Thousands turned out to get close to the action for the traditional street racing, and after some damp weather in the early days of Challenge Week, sunny weather over the weekend made it a must-see in Invercargill.
This is a favourite. Now, this is bringing the race to the people. The people, you look how close they are to this. Fantastic.
The street races saw competitors from across the country taking part. Organisers also welcomed multiple Isle of Man race winner Bill Swallow from the UK, who had a bold opinion on the New Zealand tracks.
Transition from road racing over in Europe to this is amazing, because it's just like running around the car park. You know?
Police say the crowds were great over the 5 days. They were able to spread a message of safety after the accidents earlier in the week.
And what better opportunity could we have to engage with riders, try and deliver some safety messages? And I know safety and motorcycling don't necessarily go hand in hand. It is a high-risk business that we all love and doing.
The 2023 event's been labelled a huge success, with some of the biggest numbers it's ever seen. However, organisers will be looking into better safety measures for future years after the crashes during the Bluff Hill climb in Invercargill, the South Today.
A Taieri farmer is reminding dog owners to keep their animals on a leash near farms after one of her sheep was mauled to death. Belinda Horn discovered her dead ewe on her property next to the Silver Stream and warns farmers can legally shoot people's trespassing pets if concerned about their stock's safety.
Belinda Horn ensuring her freshly shorn livestock are well fed. The Taieri farmer came across the remains of one of her ewes which was killed while grazing on the west bank of the Silver Stream, and Horn believes someone's animal was responsible. Horn came across the badly injured sheep while doing her daily checks and had to put the animal down.
So we went down, had a look, and eventually we found her, and she was just terribly mauled. It was just dreadful.
Horn is adamant the sheep was killed by someone's pet, as a wild dog would have continued attacking the stock. It's not the first time she's had livestock killed. 9 of her sheep were killed in 2021 by 2 pig dogs. However, she was shocked her animal was abandoned to slowly die.
The other thing that's so awful about it is the fact that they left that badly mauled sheep there to suffer until we found her. And that's just not on. And if people can't control their dogs, they should have them on a lead all the way along there, not just running free.
Horn wants to remind pet owners to keep their dogs on leads when walking near farms to protect all animals' safety. She's warning farmers are entitled to shoot animals which threaten their property. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Queenstown city centre shoppers may have spotted a vehicle travelling along the street without a driver behind the wheel. The new Omeo lift shuttle is turning heads as the driverless vehicles start taking passengers on trial journeys around the city.
Not a human driver in sight, but this autonomous self-driving shuttle has hit Queenstown streets for the first time. The Omeo lift shuttle is the new innovation in public transport, designed to be a short ride vehicle to take passengers to bus stops, along university campuses, or around an airport. This fully working driverless model has been navigating its way to Beach Street this week, giving locals the chance to take a test ride free of charge.
And we're now in the process of deploying them in various parts of the world. The vehicle that you see here today is the first one that we've driven on streets of Queenstown.
And this is the very first demonstration, on a working street, on a public road, without closing the public road down in New Zealand's history.
Christchurch Airport bought one of these electric shuttles a few years ago. This week, 30 great minds have come together in Queenstown for the country's first forum on driverless transport, where the shuttle's being tested with the public, alongside discussions on how to implement the new technology.
We're trying to make the public understand that they are safe. We've got to win their hearts over, not just their minds. So we've got to demonstrate to them they're safe. As you can see, there's no driver in there, there's no steering wheel.
We have a growing population, probably same thing in Christchurch. We only have so many roads, and we need to figure out how to get people around effectively. We don't have enough bus drivers for existing public transport. This can drive by itself, so it's really impressive technology.
The driverless shuttle has extensive LiDAR and GPS systems to help it detect obstacles and instantly stop, ensuring the vehicle can transport passengers from A to B safely. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek, dry conditions down south are making life difficult for gardeners, leaving professionals concerned. And students from around the country are heading for Dunedin. They're gearing up for a big Ori Week celebration. Tēnā koe, welcome back. While the North Island battled storms and torrential downpours, the lower South Island was feeling the heat. Staff at Dunedin Botanic Garden were praying for some rain, with an early dry spell causing some concern.
This yellowed grass and drooping leaves are the telltale signs of a dry environment. Dunedin's Botanic Garden is feeling the effects of a recent heat wave in the South Island, with staff struggling to keep many of the plants well nourished.
Well, it's not unusual for us to be dry, but to be dry this early is very unusual. So it's normally April that we're normally getting dry, but this year we've just got no moisture in the subsoil, and just plants are really starting to suffer.
A lack of large rainfalls in Dunedin have put the city under voluntary water usage restrictions, with garden staff now carefully prioritising which plants to water.
But we're still having to concentrate more on probably the evergreen stuff, that stuff that it's been here for 50, 60 years that we don't want to lose. So we're being very specific about what we water. Whereas herbaceous plants, we know they can go dormant, so we'll start cutting those back. Dunedin
is expecting some rain this week, and staff are hoping for around 50 millimetres over 2 or 3 days.
We're praying for rain. We've been praying for rain every week, and we may get a little bit to the tail end of the cyclone that's coming through, so we're praying for a little bit of moisture, but we actually need significant rain now to actually get the moisture back up in the subsoil.
But with Met Service forecasting no major downpours for Dunedin in the near future, it'll take more than a light sprinkle to make this grass greener again. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Members of a church in Christchurch have been asking locals for help in getting their rebuild back on track. The Coptic Orthodox Church lost their place of worship when it was destroyed in the September 2010 earthquake.
Members of a Christchurch church are asking Cantabrians for help in getting their rebuild back on track. The Coptic Orthodox Church lost their place of worship when it was destroyed in the September 2010 earthquake. There's around 60 families in the local parish. They've been using a temporary site for services while their new building is constructed.
Include 6 domes as a traditional in the Coptic church to build the church in 3 forms, like a cross.
The Coptic Orthodox Church is a Christian religion that originated in Egypt and is one of the oldest denominations in the world. In 2012, church members bought the former Maryvale Papanui Rugby Club rooms next to Newsweek Park. Building work began shortly after to construct this unique Coptic-style church alongside. However, rising construction costs have stalled the expensive rebuild.
It's cost us 150,000 until now, but we need more support to cover the domes.
And while this open-air view is impressive on a fine summer's day, Father Ibrahim says they urgently need $500,000 to install a roof. The parish is keen to build something beautiful for the city of Christchurch.
I think the building will be the icon for Christchurch. And I think some people will come to see the new design.
A total of $3 million is needed to complete the entire project before services can be held there. Supporters can donate through an online Give a Little page, with funds going towards completing the unfinished church building. In Christchurch, the South Today.
A civilization untouched by the outside world for hundreds of years has had researchers scratching their heads. Otago Museum is home to a collection of Easter Island sculptures, which has brought one researcher to Dunedin in an attempt to decipher the ancient script.
Looking intently, trying to uncover the secrets left behind by an ancient society. A researcher from Poland's Warsaw University has made his way to Dunedin in an effort to decipher Rongo Rongo hieroglyphs written on wooden sculptures from Easter Island. Otago Museum houses a collection of moe kava kava, which has the potential of being one of the only independent inventions of writing in human history.
And this is the only such example all over Oceania. There was no writing system before contact with the Western world.
Easter Island was isolated from the world until relatively recently, so no time span is known for when Rongo Rongo was used, except that it stopped in the 1860s. He believes the key to understanding the glyphs lie in the writing on the statue's head, but is unsure of what stories will be told through the hieroglyphics.
Why do we put them giant moai statues there? Yeah, or other things like other, could be anything from shopping lists to war exploits.
He has spent the last 2 weeks creating 3D images of the moe kava kava from the different collections around the country. He plans to take them back to Warsaw to study them in more detail and hopefully decipher the ancient script. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Students studying in Dunedin are preparing for another year of learning and partying. Orientation Week starts on Monday, creating a buzz around the university campus after muted Ori celebrations in recent years.
Forsyth Bar Stadium packed full of students during previous O-Week celebrations. Now the Otago University students OUSA are getting ready to kick Ori 23 into gear, as students from around the country make their way to Dunedin. The festivities start on Monday, and staff and students are excited after COVID-19 cancellations disrupted welcome events over the last few years.
So it's great to be back. It's great for students who've had 3 years of COVID-fueled learning to be able to come back and experience university how it was when I started.
He says there's a buzz across Studentville and at the OUSA office over the return of O-Week. They're especially excited about hosting 2 big international headline acts, with Young Gravy and Netsky both hitting the stage next week.
Yes, everyone's very excited. I know in the office everyone's really excited to put on a good, a proper event. You see everyone on campus getting into the swing of things already. There's a sense of excitement in the air.
Celebrations start next Monday, alongside Tent City on the museum lawn, with the popular Toga Party beginning the lineup of live concerts from Wednesday. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Some rarely seen relics of an age gone by have been chugging their way around Bryden near Invercargill. The Southland Steam Club Working Weekend saw traction engines, tractors and other antique working vehicles dusted off for the public to enjoy.
Tiny model tractors and giant traction engines, each one lovingly restored and maintained by members of the Southland Steam Club. The annual open day gives the public a chance to see these classics of the steam age up close and the opportunity to hitch a ride. Club members say their efforts are all about preserving history.
Keep the steam scene alive, basically. Yeah, educate people as much as we can, and where we can, we try and encourage new people to join the club as well.
Coal power was also at the heart of the kitchen at this steam-themed extravaganza.
We've got an old coal range set up, and basically we've been cooking griddle scones and pikelets, that sort of thing. So just as your grandma would have back in the day in her house, probably, yeah.
He says some of the vehicles, like this 98-year-old Marshall engine, required thousands of hours of work to get them running again. The popular event's now in its 10th year, with all funds raised going towards keeping the club chugging along. In Gore, the South Today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek. Top shearers and truckloads of sheep arrive in Balclutha for a New Zealand Championship battle. And a piece of American tradition hits Queenstown as the punters pack the pubs for the Super Bowl. Tēnā koe, welcome back. The fleece was flying and the competition was hot at the Otago Shearing Champs in Balclutha last weekend. The hills were looking dry at competition venue Carter Hope Estate as shearers and wool handlers battled it out together in the heat.
Touching up the blades ahead of a big day of competitive shearing. Carter Hope Estate, south of Balclutha, played host to this year's Otago Shearing Championships. 73 shearers took part over the weekend, including competitors from Australia and the UK, cheered on by a vocal, supportive crowd.
It's a massive wool shed, 8 stands, we've got 6 of them going flat out, and we're fair mowing through the sheep right at the moment.
The New Zealand Wool Handling Championships ran alongside the shearing, described as just as exciting to watch these expert handlers in action.
This is adrenaline pumping stuff. This is when you start seeing the wool flying over the tables, the wool handlers are skipping around, flicking their brooms, and the crowd starts getting off their chairs and roaring.
13-time champion wool handler Joe Hanare from Gisborne won the National Open Wool Handling Trophy. Meanwhile, the Open Shearing title went to Northland's Toa Henderson, with a number of Southland shearers placing well in the younger age brackets. In Balclutha, the South Today.
American tourists, working holiday makers and random football fans hit sports bars earlier this week to catch the 57th Super Bowl. The American football final stops the country in the United States, and many travellers in Queenstown were keen for a small taste of home.
Cheers and beers as American football fans checked into Queenstown bars at lunchtime to watch Super Bowl 57. The resort town hosts a diverse range of international workers and tourists, with sports fans from around the world coming together to watch the big football match between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Where do you guys come from today? England?
Argentina. Los Angeles and Mississippi.
Australia. Fans enjoying the chance to share their love for the sport. And here at the Locker Room Sports Bar, the rivalry was strong between fans of the two teams.
Oh, I'm supporting Kansas City. Kansas City? Yeah. Eagles?
And Eagles.
Eagles? Eagles all day.
Kansas City.
And I just want to see Kansas City lose, really.
The Super Bowl is one of the biggest games on America's sporting calendar, and while visitors might be tens of thousands of kilometres from home, the tradition holds strong.
We just had to keep the tradition going, and we're used to this, and we know where to find parties.
If they want to play man, they might be okay on the outside, but who is going to guard?
Bar goers relishing the closely fought battle, with the Kansas City Chiefs eventually triumphing over the Eagles after a game-winning field goal in the final seconds. In Queenstown, the South Today.
A colourful pop star announced her New Zealand tour dates for early next year, including a return visit to Dunedin, a moment which left one superfan in tears.
Pink was flying high above the crowd during her last show at Forsyth Bar Stadium in 2018. The three-time Grammy Award winner has announced she's returning to Aotearoa next year, playing shows in Auckland and Dunedin. Pink's last show at Forsyth Bar Stadium left fans in awe after her high-flying acrobatics during the concert. One superfan, who's dedicated part of her skin to the American singer-songwriter, couldn't contain her excitement when the tour was announced.
I cried. As the first thing. Overexcited. I love, obviously, as a super fan, there's nothing more exciting than seeing them right there in the flesh and being able to sing at the top of your lungs to their songs.
Forsyth Bar venue staff are expecting another full house for the pop star after Pink's last sold-out show attracted more than 37,000 fans. The concert's set down for early March next year, with tickets going on sale next week. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A guessing game with class took over a Frankton cafe recently for Queenstown's annual Spoofing Championships. International representatives joined in for the 19th year of the event, but it was a first-timer who claimed top prize.
It's high stakes for these gentlemen in pinstripes, taking part in the 18th annual Queenstown Spoofing Championships. This gambling game and sport is played around the world. Each spoofer in the group holds 0 to 3 coins in a clenched fist, and each round, players must try and guess the total number of collective coins without repeating a previous answer. Around 30 guys gathered over the weekend at the Boat Shed Cafe for a refined tournament of banter, camaraderie and spoofing.
So I reckon this is the most diverse group of spoofers we've had in the 19 years that we've had the Queenstown Spoofing Champs. We've got 2 from the UK, 2 from the US and 4 from Australia.
The blazers have a special significance for the spoofing community. They're only worn by players who have competed in a World Champs outside of their home country, with the coloured stripes drawn from the major rugby playing nations.
Gentlemen, we have 1 double world champion in our midst. We have 2 world champions in our midst. We have 1 Australian champion. We have 1 double New Zealand champion in our midst.
New Zealand's Greg McGaw was making his first appearance at the event, but managed to end the night by claiming his first ever championship title at the Queenstown Spoofing Champs. In Queenstown, the South Today.
That wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again next week. Mā te wā.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.